Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou te pōnei. Welcome back to another Māori conversation, and this week, well tonight, we're talking to Tākuta. Ngā mihi ki a koe Tākuta.
Kia ora Kāpua, o tira tātou katoa.
And we are joined by Tākuta's awesome mama, Whaia Raina. Ngā mihi ki a koe Whaia.
Tēnā koe Kapua, tēnā koutou e te iwi e.
Kia ora. It's so lovely to have you on. And for those who don't know, Tākuta's whānau, Whaia Raina, is very well known for her mahi in the education space, in particular around karanga, her role in kapa haka, being in Tamati Ariki Nui, te rōpu kapa haka o te Ariki Nui from the very start in the 1970s. So ngā mihi kia koe Whaia. Thank you for coming on tonight and for sitting alongside your son. So, first, Patai, can you tell us about you and your whānau? Tell us about your tamariki, and also your connections to te Waipounamu.
Tēnā koe, he pātai pai. Tēnā koutou te whānau whānui. I have Doc and I have 4 children. Well, they're not children, they're grandchildren, they're grandparents, some of them now. 3 girls and a boy, so Doc's our 4th child. We've had the privilege of bringing them up here in Pōrangahau and giving them a good grounding in Ngāti Keretanga on the marae, you know, being in touch with the land, the ocean, the kaimoana. And then we've given them the city experience where they've had to go to high school and do well at college. And then when they were teenagers, we shipped them all to Australia for a 5-year stint to broaden their appreciation of the world. Yeah, and then we brought them back. Oh, no, actually, we came back to Aotearoa in 93 with Doc. The girls had all cut the apron strings and were doing their own thing. And it wasn't long, they were all home too. And then we all nestled into Te Wānanga o Raukawa for a good 12 years. And now Doc and I are back home, and our beautiful children have children, and some have grandchildren. And we come from a big family, a loving family. And we stay pretty close to one another, which is really good. We support each other in all sorts, which you got to do when you're running kapa haka teams at national level and tribal levels. Mm-hmm. But you know, that all helps make it happen. Yeah.
Okay. So, no ngai tahu koe, me Ngāti Kuia. Can you tell us a little bit about your whānau and your hononga down in Te Waipounamu?
Yeah, sure. We've always known of our kaitahutanga, and our mother was born in Riverton, in Aparima, in the hapu of Ngāti Kaweriri, and her father was a Sterling, from the Whalers, and the Māori whakapapa is through Mākere te whanawhana and Kutu Mai Mai. So we have a stronghold right down in Ruapuka Island and Oraka, Takutai o te Titi Marae, and we've always stayed in tune with that. And Brother Pity was given the mantle of looking after the whakapapa, the kaitahu whakapapa, and he dealt to a lot of the affairs for us. And we have a hononga in Akaroa through our Hokianga lineage. So through my dad's mother, we're Hokiangas. So we have a hononga there. And then up on Te Tauihu o Te Waka, up around Whakatū, Nelson, we have a strong hononga there to Te Paurangi and Henekawa and Jock McGregor. So we've got a colourful lineage. But we stay in tune with it, and I've taught programs right down from the top of the South Island to the bottom of the South Island. So, and it's lovely being able to go on marae there where you whakapapa too. That's key to expanding my teaching out and about. You find the hononga to that place and you're in.
Now, Tākuta, you also lived in Nelson for a period. Can you tell the whānau out there what kind of mahi you did down there?
Yeah, kia ora Kaapua. Yeah, so at the end of 2010, we headed down to Whakatū. And, you know, the motivation to go to Whakatū was really about just really solidifying the kanohi, tinana type hononga in my generation of our family, because my parents' generation, they maintained those kanohi and, you know, go to the place hononga all of our lives, but none of our whānau, none of our generation had you know, gone and done the work on the ground. So moving down to Whakatū was an opportunity to do that for us, and it was a big part of the motivation to go down there. And I actually had a couple of real on the level talks with Uncle Piri about you know, going down there and our whānau there, our McGregor whānau there, our McDonald whānau there, our Shasha whakapapa connecting us there. And, you know, his kōrero was e hoki ki te kāinga tawhito. So, you know, we went and you know, supported by my beautiful wahine to pursue that. And not only to take our kids out and do something different for ourselves, but to, you know, reaffirm whakapapa ties and go and do the work, you know, go and do some mahi in that area, in that rohe. And our time down there was awesome. And in terms of mahi, I went down there to the Te Wharewānanga o Te Tauihu o Te Waka o Māori, to the Nelson Marlborough Institute of Technology as the Director of Māori Education. So it's an SLT, you know, an executive role. And we really spent a lot of time there just getting to know the whānau through mahi, develop a lot of initiatives between NMIT and the iwi. The iwi organizations and the marae. And, you know, during that time, you know, when I arrived there, it wasn't really the greatest of race relations in the top of the South with regards to NMIT and the iwi. There was, you know, quite hostile, and the place was considered pretty racist and all of that. But we just got on about doing the mahi in the hapori with the people on the marae, just in the same fashion we always have, you know, and what we know. And, you know, over the course of 3 to 4 years, 5 years, that built a hugely successful relationship between the marae, the local Māori community. The kura kaupapa got established while we were there. So it was all sort of tied up. And, yeah, it just became a really productive relationship, really. And we're proud of the mahi that we did there. Because, you know, as we go, it's not like I just went and did it, you know. Me and my wife went and did it. You know, Mum came and was involved. All our whanaunga in the top of the South got involved. And we were fortunate to, yeah, just have a really good time there. And the most important thing really was we got to know all our whanaunga there and all the kaumātua, you know. So, yeah, we're really thankful for that time we had in Whakatū. And, I mean, our baby, she was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months when we moved down there. And she was like going on, she was 7 going on 8 when we came home. So for our kids, they spent most of their growing up lives in Whakatū. So yeah, I'm really thankful for that, for our connections, for our ability as Māori to go to our connections and be there, you know, be there and be from there. It's part of the beauty of our whakapapa. And, you know, just with regards to like the size of the Taitonga electorate, you know, it's just another underarm bowl from the crowd, I reckon, man, that you get such a huge area to represent. It's almost like it doesn't matter which part of it you came from, you'd never, you know, be able to represent the whole lot. But, you know, we got to go with our best foot forward, whānau, and just trust and believe in our own way of knowing, our own way of being and doing things, and believing in who we are.
Kia ora. Tautoko. It's been my bugbear, the size of the Te Taitonga electorate. I just think it's so unfair. You almost have to be a Māori rock star in order to have a profile across that whole electorate. So that's our task in front of us, Tākuta, to turn you into that rock star. But I did want to touch on the fact you are an educator. Your mama is an educator, and Whaeraina, you're well known across the motu for your teaching, particularly of karanga and other Māori cultural arts. Can you tell us, how did you come to carry the knowledge and passion that you have for these things, these taonga?
Now, kia ora, Kaapua. That's a real thought-provoking question, and it's a question that I've thought about for a couple of decades now, and that's really why I designed the karanga program. But I believe in destiny, and I believe I was born for what I'm doing now, and I mean, when I was born, I was given away to an uncle and auntie who couldn't have babies. I'm the youngest of 9, okay, and I'm the 6th daughter, 3 brothers. But I cried for 3 days, and Mum cried for 3 days. And at the end of that 3 days, my uncle took me back to my mother and said, "This baby needs to be with you." Now, that's the first tick for destiny. I believe I knew when I was an infant born that my destiny was with Maimon and Labe Shasha. And then when I was around 13, I had a dream or a visit, and the visitation told me that I would work with wahine. So I put that on the back burner, and then next minute I'm leading kapa haka. I'm leading kapa haka at high school, and that came about because we grew up on the marae here, and we had beautiful Ngāti Parau men ministers, Anaru Takarua and Joe Tuhiwai, and they taught us. We grew up singing kapa haka, whakangaho, and so all of that activation of that love and passion was in those initial years of being born here into this family, growing up here on the marae, and then shifting into the city when I was 11. And by the time you're 11, you know, if a field of something is activated in you early, you'll carry on. And so my love of dance and te reo, I used to love going to church because we didn't grow up in a reo speaking household. The only time we heard te reo Māori was at church and on the marae. Not in the home, not at school, and singing. See, so singing was just a natural feeding puna. And so I'm married at 18, and tamatea Riki Nui cranks up. So it's continual. It's just part of our life. And then because I had a passion for it all my life, you develop a ahua of confidence. Therefore, the elders pick you out and put you, oh, yes, she's got it. Raina, go and karanga that group. And I couldn't speak Māori. Piri told me what to say. So I said it. And that was that. You know, so one step leads to another step, to another step. Next minute, you're leading tamatea Riki Nui. You're doing the karanga to te atai rangi kāhu, to all sorts of kaupapa. So when we came back from Australia, and even before then, I knew there was more to being Māori than what I knew, because we knew what to do, but we didn't know why we did it. and I wanted to know the whys. And I kept hoping someone would come and tell me why, but life rocked up. And then when we came back from Australia, and I found Te Wānanga o Raukawa, as soon as I opened that prospectus to the curriculum, I could see all the answers to the whys. So off I went, and I got my degree in Mātauranga Māori, and the very next year I was offered a job. And I loved it because it answered a lot of things that hadn't been answered. But then it just brought more questions. You know, I had a lot of questions, but I'd had a beautiful experience in being a kaikaranga for the hapu and for the kapa, and internationally while we're in Australia. And by the time I'd done the degree, I had all these questions that nobody wanted to answer. But through my experiences on having done karanga in a variety of different kaupapa, I figured it out for myself. So I designed a program, and 20 years later, I'm still teaching it. So it's about experience. If you have some knowledge and you mix knowledge with experience, and then out comes new knowledge. That's the process. So I was courageous enough to put that new knowledge out there. And because I had lived it, I didn't need any validation from any written script from some other academic. I was teaching from experience, and that's the best teacher. And it's still going.
Well, speaking of experience and the teachings and learnings passed through that, at what point did you involve your tamariki, including Tākuta, in the kapa haka experience in Tamatea Rikinui?
Oh, all our kids were born with a poi in their hand or a taiaha, and a hockey stick.
Hockey stick, yes, that was my, but only because I'm vertically challenged.
Well, Doc and them, take all their tamariki to kapa haka. That was Docky and them 40 years ago. We dragged them all over the place to practice this, and so they just learnt naturally. It's just a natural absorption of all that beautiful vibration.
Kia ora. Well, growing up with that Tākuta, what has kapa haka taught you about kaupapa Māori that you can take on this journey to Parliament with you?
Yeah, it teaches us heaps of things, Kaapua. I think that the main thing, Tamatea Rikinui for our family is essentially the whare wānanga. It's the place where you learn everything. It's the place where you have the interactions that are intergenerational. So us, our parents, my queers and koraua, all in the one place, and all in the one place for enough time consistently for things to happen. And I think, the greatest thing we can take away from how we live in kapa whānau are the experiences. I never forget Whatarangi Winiata saying this to us while we were working at Te Wānanga o Raukawa, that you must take your children to significant Māori events. You must take your children to significant Māori events so that they see the mana of who they are in action, so that they see proceedings in a Māori fashion. So that when you welcome the Governor-General, you recognize that the Governor-General is just like any other manuhiri and are going to get welcomed in the same fashion, all of that sort of thing. And then, as we got older, because like Mum said, we were literally dragged to kapa haka wānanga all our lives, from when you were on the to when you could walk, to when you could hold the boy or do a swing a stick around. and then you just slowly headed down that track. But the most powerful thing of it is that you witnessed it as a child, all as if it's natural. It's all in its natural state, and those are the imprints that stick with you for the rest of your life. So, in terms of what I take from that, or what any of us can take from that in leadership and going into places like Parliament or going into places like a DHB or to a local council, is that he rangatira tātou. And you possess the rangatiratanga of your tipuna. And we all possess the manamotu hake of our tipuna. And when you have an unwavering belief in that, when that's just your subconscious norm, you can go in places and be pretty powerful, and not powerful forcibly, just powerful in your understanding and belief in who you are, where you come from, and why it's significant. So, and now that we're the parents, and I'm not a grandparent yet, but my sisters are, it's our job to make sure that whare wānanga, and there are heaps of them all across the motu. Every kapa haka across this motu is a whare wānanga for those people. And we've got to make sure that they just keep driving them forward, because it's the seeding ground for our tamariki. Our tamariki get exposed to every aspect of Māori life, of tikanga Māori, all of those types of things. And the other beautiful thing about it, Kaapua, is that they're brilliant at it. Our kids are brilliant. They're excellent at it. And any chance we get to put our children into something where they can be excellent, we should put them in. Because it's the pursuit of excellence that teaches what excellence requires. And if you can grow kids that at 15, 18, 20, 25 understand what's required to achieve excellence, be it kapa haka, be it touch rugby, be it whatever, academics, whatever, if they understand what excellence requires, that's a very transferable trait.
Kia ora. That really resonates with me for everything you just said, but for another reason as well. I feel like when you're Māori and you're in the workforce, for example, you have to be the best bloody Māori out there to get the job. Like that excellence trait is something that I totally see in a lot of our kids, that we need to foster a lot more broadly across Aotearoa, not just Māori kids, everyone needs to have that sense of what excellence looks like. And I think I see your whānau, Tākuta, and I think you're very lucky to have such strong role models around, particularly your mama. And I'm wondering how that has shaped your view of the world outside of the kapa haka, outside of growing up in that strong Māori environment. I look at your mama as a role model. How has that shaped you?
Well, like many Kaapua mums, had a profound effect on me. And I think for her great humanity, if I'm looking for simple, straight to the point explanations, it's about her capacity for humanitarian work, which is recognizing the importance of compassion for people, recognizing the importance of communication, for the good of the people listening. Or you can take politics for an example, right? Half the time we don't know what they're saying because they're using some language that no one really gets, and they throw it around so quick that communication isn't actually happening. It's just a one-way verbal bunch of noise, but my mum's always taught me that communication is at the heart of success in everything. So and te aroha, ko taku mama e whakapau kaha ki te tuku I te aroha. So we were fortunate that we were raised in such a model and had those types of examples, and instilling in us, it really just comes down to belief, Kaapua. We were raised knowing who we were. We weren't raised speaking Māori, we weren't raised with all of that. We were just raised on the marae. you know, and when you were old enough, you could make a choice to go and learn the reo, you know. So I am very fortunate to have had a lot of good role models, you know, people who commit to the service of others or to the service of kaupapa that are bigger than themselves. And, you know, those are the traits that my whole generation aim to emulate and foster in our own children, so that they can grow up and be as strong and then stronger than we are. And we're forever grateful to our parents and all our aunties and uncles who did the mahi, because, you know, now that I'm an adult and raising my own whānau, I know what the trials of life are, you know, and I know that my mum and my dad and their whole generation, they faced even harder trials when they were my age, trying to promote, you know, the use of reo and the singing of waiata and kapa haka as a thing. So I'm very grateful for all of that work that they've done. And I understand, or I feel, you know, I know that we have an obligation to keep that going, because it's belief in yourself, knowing your identity that makes you grounded, it makes you strong, you know. And if you've achieved excellence in an area, well, you know what excellence looks like, and you can take that wherever you go, because it's the same everywhere.
I want to pick up on that point you said around belief in yourself. And I just want to note that one of the things that I've seen in your relationship is your whānau is absolutely loyal, man. You know, like I see that in you, Whairaina, when you came out to support Tākuta the entire way through this journey with the Māori Party. And I think that needs to be called out as well, because it matters. Because to me, that says you believe in your son. And that's really important. So I want to ask you this next part, which is, how can our whānau out there, our communities, action the understanding of their own power, their own self-belief, but within the political sphere?
Well, first off, they've got to believe in themselves. And you believe in yourself by knowing who you are, identity. I really believe identity is the key to our moving forward. Because in my mahi, you know, for 20 years, I've helped women identify themselves with being Māori, and other nations too, with other women coming to do the courses. And that's the catalyst for belief in anything else. So that's the first step. So a lot of our people know they're Māori, but they don't know how they're Māori. And that's about whakapapa. So Doc and I can happily move down the South Island because we know our whakapapa. We whakapapa from the top of the South Island to the bottom, and Wellington and all of that as well. But, you know, so it's our identity, knowing who you are, where you come from, and then educating yourself about the importance of politics. See, I grew up not caring much about politics because I don't know why, it just wasn't in my vocab, you know. And I always used to ask Doc, well, who shall I vote for this year?
Well, that was voting for this year,
the Māori Party arrived, then I knew who I was voting for. And so to help our people have belief in the political journey is by doing what we're doing now, is by advocating Māori rangatiratanga, by educating our people about issues that are important to us as Māori, and that's happening. But whether they're all engaging or not is another story. And by teaching them about the importance of being politically savvy. Now, they don't get that in school.
No.
We might when the tiriti or waitangi stuff is taught, but up until now we don't. So how we do it via technology, that's the teaching mechanism of today, about the importance of voting. I was in Hawaii when the Māori Party didn't get through at the last election. I cried my eyeballs out. I couldn't believe it. So, we've got a huge job to do, and it's exposing ourselves, but instilling good leadership, okay, presenting the faces of politics in an honest manner, in a manner of integrity, of rangatiratanga status, and ka tū rātou I o rātou mana motuhake. Mana Māori, mana tipuna, mana atua, but mana motuhake. They've got to be able to stand in their own sovereign power of mana.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Fire. I don't know if you can beat that, Tākuta. Your mother has spoken.
Really? Oh, well, ko tāku he tautoko. It really comes down to belief. Having spent a lot of time in senior education, at the SLT tables of the Pākehā organisations, be them universities or the ITPs, dealing with the NZQAs and the government end of all that conversation. It's the belief that gives us the power to change stuff. I'm who I am. I'm happy to be pro Māori. I got to be pro my children because no one else will be pro them. I'm happy to be just me, just plain old me when I go places. And in those circles, I'm sort of so comfortably Māori that I make a lot of them uncomfortable. Because a lot of senior Pākehā in this country have never had to deal with Māori who are just as equipped as them and just happy to sit on this side of the table and ask the questions that they just hope no one ever asks. And we've got to just keep moving in that direction. And we always maintain ourselves kia rangatira te tū. Never go anywhere whakahihi. But it doesn't mean you have to go all apologetic and sorry I'm here and I don't want to ask a tough question. That doesn't need to be the case, and that shouldn't be the case for us. We should be happily who we are, and we go and we ask the questions that should be asked. I was listening to Waka Moana there the other day, and he made a couple of comments around where we are. That the belief in our people has been forcibly suppressed by the colonizer, right? It's a desired outcome of colonization, that the people lose faith in themselves. That the people become actually self-loathing. That's an intended outcome of colonization. And so if we can work against the tide of that and believe in ourselves, understand who we are, know where we come from, and recognize and understand that when you go with the power of all of that. And that's your mana motuhake. E kore motu I a koe, it'll never be severed from you. Ne kua titia ki te whatu manawa, it's in the depths of your heart. So e tu ko kiritia. You stand up and you go like that. And, raising belief in people is not an easy thing. It can come and go because it's all against the tide. It's all against the tide. But people in our history, in our Māori history, have been so fervent in their stance over the years that they triggered things all throughout the time that the Crown has been here. You only need to look back through the last 180 years, and every 10 years, every 5-10 years, our people stood up, made a fist, and said, "That's enough of that." And so here we are today. We're in the middle of a pandemic. It hasn't gone anywhere. Just because we come out of lockdown doesn't mean it's all fixed. We're about to go into the real deal, and what it means on the ground for our whānau. So we've got to believe in ourselves. Like Mum said, you got to know a bit about the game and the situation. So a big thing I want to do for our whānau is just translate all of this political jargon and yarn going on over there. Just translate it into what it actually means for us. So our people can be involved and they can make decisions that they know are the right decisions for them.
Kia ora. And we've got to stop being distracted by ourselves as well. which I think is another tool that they use to keep us down, oppressed and colonized, as we get distracted by the little things. And hello, we're still in the same place in the lowest jobs when the time hits where we need to be up high.
Yeah.
So, ngā mihi kia koe Tākuta, mō kōrero. I've got one last question, and I'm going to ask it to you, Whairaina, for tonight, which is, what would you like people out there to know about your son, and why should they vote for him?
Wow. E kore te kumara, e kōrero ki tōna reka.
Yeah.
You know, that's one whakatauki I think should be dumped in the rubbish bin.
Well, it's hard when you're in politics, because we have those values on us, except you're also in a position where whānau going, why should we vote for you? You know, so you have to manage the tension in those two systems.
But I do believe that, you know, Doc just said we're told, we're brought up, well, we have been brought up not to boast yourself. So me boasting about Doc is about boasting about me. But you know, my son is a honest, hardworking, dedicated man, father, and son. And I know he wouldn't do anything dishonest or disreputable for himself, for his whānau, and for te iwi Māori, and probably for the world, you know, because we're honest, good, loving people. So we want the best according to our Māori eyes. Now we know, you know, we grew up, I grew up, I'll stick it with myself. I grew up not knowing we had a Māori worldview. My worldview was the Bible. And when I learned that we had a Māori worldview, a creation story, I was livid. I was angry in the fact that I didn't grow up knowing this. Even though we did kapa haka and sang songs, I didn't realize that we have our own Māori worldview. So part of my journey and my beautiful husband's journey was to instill in our children and our wider family that we as Māori have a view of the creation of this world according to our Māori lenses, not our colonized eyes.
Kia ora.
So like Doc says, he can sit comfortably in both worlds. And I grew up, and I believe my husband grew up being able to sit comfortable in both worlds. But we advocate from a Māori worldview perspective because we're Māori. And that's the end of it. That's it. So, kia kaha, son, I'm with you 100%. Taking on Te Waipounamu in the bottom of the North Island is a huge job. But, you know, that's why our view of whakapapa is so important. And Doc is a man who knows his whakapapa. And that's a big percentage of the success will be built upon that. I had a talk last night with a dear friend who's from Tuahiwi Marae, you know, and they're excited, but they're also dedicated to their own man down there. So it's important that we follow our whakapapa links and we follow on from the work that Brother Piri has done. And we're ready for it, eh, son? So let's go.
Let's go. Halfway. Well, ngā mihi kia korua mo te kōrero nei. Thank you so much, Whairaina, for coming and joining us here tonight. Your kōrero was awesome, and I can see where you get it from, Doc. You're awesome, Mama. You're awesome, Papa, and I've met some of your sisters. They're awesome too. So On that note, nui kia korua, arā hoki kia koutou e mātakitaki mai ana, pō Mārie.
Pō Mārie.
Pō Mārie.
Right.